Hello and welcome to the One Fall WrestleCast. Derek's late, so you know what that means. Um, Listen, we were off last week. My bad again. Obviously, I am not living my best life in 2023, but that's okay. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled program here sooner or later, I promise. A lot of shit has happened though since the last time we recorded. Um, Obviously, the big news: Vince McMahon has returned as executive chairman to WWE. Is there a sale looming? We're going to discuss our thoughts on this. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, has made her New Japan Pro Wrestling debut in what some folks are calling very underwhelming. Also, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay put on a 19-star banger in the Tokyo Dome. Tons of stuff to talk about, including all hands on deck meetings. Cody Rhodes has announced his official return for the Royal Rumble, and there is just a bunch of housekeeping that we have got to jump into. But we're going to do that right after Tom and I pick how late Derek's going to be.
Welcome to the One Fall WrestleCast.
What's up, dude?
What's up? I say he'll be here by God. I feel like I haven't won yet. 9:45.
We're an hour ahead now. Remember, like
I'm sorry. Yeah, 7:45.
7:45.
7:45.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take the over on that.
All right. 7:45. That's
Okay,
it's only 7 minutes. Now he was here talking shit like 30 seconds before you.
Bro, he's even got like there's a message in the group me or a little group thing, like TikTok bitch. It's Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Like, come on, bro. Come on, how like what?
I don't have a good answer for that. I just don't. It's what's happening.
Like,
This is what it is.
Fuck's sake, bro. Like, and he was like earlier, he's all gung ho. He's like, man, we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. Oh, we got the whole thing with the thingamajig and the thinger-do and the fucking.
I got to talk about
Vince isn't the only thing that's going on. We got all this other stuff to talk about.
I gotta talk about how much I'm not into Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, but he's not here to die on those hills. Like,
no, he's not here to die on those hills. Those hills are undied upon.
But you know what I do want to talk about? I want to talk about something that him and I got into in the group message earlier, and hopefully he'll rear his ugly head in time to talk about this. But I want to talk about FTR. Okay. That's what I want to talk about right now. That's how I want to kick off the
Top
show.
guys?
Talk about all of this bullshit surrounding FTR. Okay.
Top guys doing top guy shit?
Yeah, top guys doing top guy shit, right? Everybody's like, oh, FTR is fucking washed up. FTR, that shit's over. Those guys are bums. Those guys are this. Those guys are trash. Hey. Calm down.
Calm down.
Okay. We're talking about a team that can put the world of tag team wrestling on their backs in 2022.
I mean, longer than that.
Outside of WWE.
Well, I mean, they've pretty much been top guys doing top guy stuff since when did they debut in NXT? 2015, 2016, something like that? Nah, it couldn't have been 2015. Like 2017, 2016, something like that. It's been a long time. And I don't know if they ever had a bad match. I felt like even their WWE run was actually pretty good. Like, sure, they got into some goofiness, some goofy Vince stuff like with the Uzi Hot and all that stuff. But like, it's not like they were working with underneath teams, right? I mean, they were working with the Usos. They were the tag team champs at that time. I mean, just because they did a goofy WWE thing. I mean, everybody's had to do a goofy WWE thing, right? I mean, even Stone Cold wore the tiny little hat
Right.
and had to play guitar with Kurt Angle. So it's I think that I don't think that necessarily they're washed up or that they're done. I think they're done with AEW, and rightfully so. I think they kind of got sandbagged by the Young Bucks a little bit, and I don't think Cody's leaving had any good. I don't think anything good happened for them in AEW after Cody left. Now, clearly, like the Ring of Honor stuff was great. They had a couple bangers with the Briscoes. The one where they won the Ring of Honor titles, and then the one, I mean, Ring of Honor was sort of a subsidiary undercard, but I mean, still at the same time, like, I mean, we talked about it for weeks. Ring of Honor was the best stuff that AEW was putting on television, and
Yes.
it wasn't AEW television; it was Ring of Honor, and FTR was a big part of that. I think. I just think their AEW run. I'm going to go. If they're done with AEW, I'm going to go ahead and say their AEW run was disappointing. It was worse than their WWE run. That's for sure. Because they were, but everything else they did around AEW, like while their AEW run was bad, New Japan greatness. So was Ring of Honor greatness. Even AAA greatness. Even the stuff they did with social media building up to that. I just think there was this hole in the middle where they were set to be like the gods that like saved tag team wrestling in AEW, and they never got that opportunity.
I mean, listen, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I want to rewind back to when they made their AEW debut. Whenever AEW was in Daly's place during the tail end of the pandemic, and they were doing the whole shtick with the pickup truck and like, oh yeah, like they had that same like kind of entrance music that they had when they were at WWE and like that whole thing, like, and then they did the whole Celtics versus Lakers thing with the Young Bucks. I thought that was all really, really great for the AEW championship.
Sure, so their debut was good, but it like everything else in AEW, it's like, ooh, new shiny toy, and then when it's not the new toy anymore, it's on to my next toy.
Right. And I mean, Derek, you're the one that got me on this, today, wanting to sit there and bitch, moan, and complain about FTR and their lack of relevancy all of a sudden. I mean, like, I don't understand how you can sit there and you can look at their body of work over the last year and a half, 2 years, and tell me that these guys dropping titles at the beginning of 2023, end of 2022, doesn't afford them an opportunity to take a much needed fucking break.
I never said they couldn't have a break. What I'm saying is they were booked horribly, and I'm not saying for the past year and a half, 2 years. I'm talking 2022. It was obvious they were not booked well. They won what?
They were not booked well. Where in AEW or television. In general?
Yes, sir. We're talking AEW here. This should be their home promotion. This is where they are, quote unquote, signed to. Whether we do have a forbidden door situation or not, you would think that the company whom you are, aligned with should treat you with much, much more push than sending you out to GCW or over to, whatever kind of random promotions that they want to go around to. It doesn't make sense. Why are we not pushing our own stars in AEW? And I'll tell you why. It's because your fucking match of the week for the past 6 weeks, probably soon to be 7.
Hey, don't even fucking start with
has taken center stage.
Because
and that's all Tony Khan wants to do. That's all he wants to do.
No, I don't think that's got anything to do with Tony Khan at all. And I think it's got everything to do with the fucking Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. They are still executive vice presidents, pal. And if you remember correctly, and Tom's going to agree with me on this because he's gonna remember the details and the nuances of this conversation. I said I don't give a fuck what these guys do. right? I don't care about the next 7 to 9 weeks of television with what these 6 guys do, because it's going to keep the elite outside and away from all of the other things that have been good on AEW television. And I was 100% correct.
And what tag team matches have we had that has been fantastic outside of these?
I didn't say anything about tag team matches.
This is
I
supposed
just
to be a
said the
tag team
things that
company.
were good in general. Okay.
I'm just trying to focus on the tag team aspect.
You're not going to turn around and you're not going to build the Acclaimed for 3 fucking years. All right. And then put them in the ring with FTR and let FTR beat them in their first title defense. It's just not going to happen. And if you think that that's the kind of thing that's going to happen, you're not fucking paying attention. Okay?
I never said
you are one of the very first fucking people that wants to come in here and sit here and talk about, oh, AEW needs to utilize their homegrown talent. Oh, AEW doesn't take the chance to let their homegrown talent fucking get an opportunity. They want to bring in Andrade El Idolodo and fucking Aleister Black and fucking it. But I mean, Jiminy Christmas, bro, what is it? Like, do you want AEW to put over homegrown talent, or do you want AEW to fucking put over WWE fucking cast-offs? Like, it's got to be one or the other. You can't play both sides of the coin here. The Acclaimed is exactly that. Those motherfuckers have been a tag team for 3 years since the inception of AEW.
Yes.
And they are perhaps, aside from the Usos, the most over tag team in professional wrestling right now. I was walking down the fucking street yesterday and I saw a Scissor Me Daddy Ass shirt.
You did? I thought that was going to be. Yeah,
I would
give
have
him
to run up to this man and
yeah, I feel like I'd have to do that.
I did.
Too.
Yeah, I totally would.
I did.
That's
I
awesome.
feel like you gotta be.
Yeah, I would have to do
almost
that.
have to. You have to at that point. I don't think.
Like,
how many people do you think did that to that guy wearing that shirt that day? Probably at least a dozen. I would bet. If he was out and about that day, I bet a dozen people. I bet a dozen people. Derek, that is a huge goblet. I'm very a huge. I'm very impressed by the. It was comically large.
I really have no idea where it came from.
Comically large is what it is.
Listen, well, I'm not trying to say that, we should just focus on homegrown talent. I guess that probably did come off a little wrong considering the subject we're saying here. What I'm trying to get across is I really want them to focus on the talent that they have signed. Why are we bringing in people and sending off our people to other promotions? Leave them here. Let them do work. Instead, we've got Willow Nightingale shitting herself on a Friday. Like, what are we doing?
Oof.
What are we doing?
See, I thought for sure you were going to.
I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't watch Rampage.
I sent it in the group.
I did.
Yeah,
That's a lie. I did watch Rampage this week.
You did watch it because we were supposed to shit on it.
But I was half asleep.
They did that themselves. So I don't know where we go from there. I mean, the jokes kind of write themselves with that match.
I mean, she is Anna Jay okay? Because that's she never came back after they missed that table.
She was scared. She was scared of the smells and of the
or
whatever
was she
diseases you get from
dead.
feces. I'm not really certain.
I mean, it was a power bomb. It wasn't like she was, but it was like she crapped on her. But at the same time, I mean, obviously, like the botch of the missing of the table. I mean, it's unfortunate because I feel like Willow Nightingale is probably one of their better hands as far as the women's title, as far as the women's division is concerned there. But at the same time, like that's not saying a whole lot. Ruby clearly bladed, got that crimson mask on. I don't know that there's a place for that in 2023. I don't know that there was a place for it in 2020. In 2022, truth be told. I mean, I know Rampage is on late at night and it's a street fight and somebody's got to do that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, with everything we know now about, bloodborne illness and and just, you know, infection and everything else. Do you really need to be out there doing that, especially on, like, you know, TV that's going to get 400,000 viewers? Like, I mean, it's not like this is a, like, main event Madison Square Garden. You know,
bro, but I mean, you're still talking about fucking folks that have gone out and done that the entirety of their career in the middle of high school gyms with fucking 10 people in attendance. Like, I think that sometimes, man,
11 if I'm there.
folks, it's more about the art form, and that's something that, like, we're never going to understand, right?
Yeah, but you know what? Needs to be somebody in the back that says, no, don't, like, look, you want to have a street fight match where people get a little bloody. That's one thing. That's fine. But I mean, the blading with the crimson mask and all that shit, that's just, I mean, we all know, everybody knows now, right? That everybody knows you don't look like that with that, like, face covered without a little gimmick to it. You know, it just doesn't, that's not how people bleed normally. You know, if it's, whether it's the hard way or whether they would have used barbed wire. Because, I mean, some of the other, like, Ruby was the only one to blade, but everybody else was a little gashed up. So it wasn't like, you know, but so I don't condone the blading. I'm not the biggest fan of these street fights and these, like, barbed wires and all that stuff. But, you know, if they're going to use it, I think it's fine. But I think that then just, you know, if you've already got that stuff, like, why do you need to blade too? And why do you need to?
I mean, I get where you're coming from, you know what I'm saying? But, like, that's, like, the purist in you too, right? But, like, you circle back. Let's look at 1997, 1998. Well, no, 96, actually. King of the Ring, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane, right? First blood match. Okay? Nobody talks shit about that. How about Stone Cold versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13? Nobody talks shit about that. I mean,
that was WrestleMania 13 for the WWE Championship, though. I mean, that was not
the WWE Championship.
Yeah, it was. That was
13 absolutely. No, it wasn't, because Sid and the Undertaker were the headliner for that.
Oh, right.
So, regardless of that, I do have to agree with Tom on this. That it was a Friday night, you know, first to poop loses match. Like, it wasn't.
Like, who the fuck are you all of a sudden, bro? Like, coming in here fucking.
Who are you, Mr. Light Tube Bazooka?
Right? Like, motherfucker sat here and gave us an hour explanation about fucking the community center death matches at fucking Paw Fairgrounds every Friday night. But now.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, a blade job's
to
too
the
much.
Facebook jail. I got softened up a little bit.
He's a different.
He's time in Facebook jail, man.
He's got reverse Dominic Mysterio syndrome.
Yeah,
he's not. He became a softer man after being put through Facebook.
It's like, what are you talking about, bro? For fuck's sake, man.
Became a softer man.
But I really planned on having a bandana. Like, if I'd have had a bandana, I totally would have done it.
I can't stand you. I really can't.
That was so when Dominic came out, not this past Monday, but last Monday, dressed like Conan.
Yeah,
I was like, he's dressed like Conan. Like, so part of me was like, this is stupid, but the other part of me was like, as soon as like he came out dressed as Conan, like all of the whole part of me that thought it was stupid was like, oh man, this is like what they're doing here is they're really pandering to me, because the only people who would know that he's dressed like Conan are guys my age, right? Because there's guys my age who knew Conan was a bad dude, right? Like that's it. I'm the only person, like, you know, kids, my son didn't get it. Nobody, you know, under the age of 35 got it. Probably nobody under the age of 38 got it. And, you know, but they did it. And it was just like, oh my God, for me. And honestly, this Judgment Day stuff keeps getting better and better and better every week.
And you remember, like, this was our favorite thing to come in and shit on every single week.
Yeah, it was pretty pitiful in the beginning.
As they've grown into their little thing, and like, I mean, Dominic's a fucking heat magnet, yo. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
He is on some kind of run right now where just like creative just has so much creative brilliance to give him, and Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor are playing their parts like two like the greatest performers that have ever performed, and it's like they are getting everybody over, everybody they're in the ring with, everything they touch is getting over like crazy. It's just it's like a highlight of every Monday, and it's like they get a little backstage segment too, so it's like it's intertwined. They're like second.
They are the bloodline of Monday night.
Yeah, they're like the second main story, because like you get the bloodline still on Mondays, and Kevin Owens and whatever Seth Rollins is doing and all that is still a big deal on Monday, but like they're sort of like the second tier. They're like the top. They're like the other, like, oh, this is important. This is the other really important storyline that'll spill over a little bit here and there. So it's really like, it's really cool. I'm really liking it. Even like when the matches aren't that great, I'm still really like Monday Night like Raw this week. I felt like the matches were all not all of them, but most of them were pretty average. We got Omos versus Elias again, which is just like, okay, this is about as average as that's gonna get, right? Because like Omos clearly not the best worker, and Elias ain't about to work his way. He's no Daniel Bryan, we'll put it that way.
He's no Ezekiel either. That guy had some talent.
That guy
right there.
He had some pizzazz and some charisma.
He did.
But yeah, it's there. It's over, and it's like whatever that happens, and it's really Rhea and Finn, like their sort of surrounding hype manness about it. Because obviously, I mean, we know they can both go in the ring as well, but like they're just like they're outside characters as well as just top tier stuff. Like it doesn't. I don't know that. You know, they're performing on I think the same level as the Bloodline are, as Kevin Owens are. It's the same level of like, it's that upper crust that really you kind of only get in WWE, and you kind of only get in WWE when WWE is really good, where it's like it's not just about the matches, but it's about everything that goes on around the matches, and that's really like they're performing on that upper crust of like, this is what top tier pro wrestling looks like. And these are top tier pro wrestlers, and it's like, well, it's Finn Balor, it's Rhea Ripley, it's Kevin Owens, it's Sami Zayn, it's the Usos, it's Roman Reigns, and that's the short list.
Yeah,
like, Rollins. We could put Rollins up there because he hits that tier as well. But that's it. It's like that's the list. That's the short list of those guys who perform at that level and who can do it all. And you know, so that's obviously why they're a big part of every show.
I mean, and to his point, Derek, I mean, you know, Rhea Ripley comes out every week and she tells the world, hey, like we run Monday Night Raw. And I mean, she said it to Jimmy and Jey Uso just last night.
She got in Solo's. She got in Solo's face. She got in Solo's face.
Yeah, she's gonna get some of I haven't watched Monday Night yet. I'm a little behind on that.
Well, I mean, I had a chance to watch it last night.
It's one day ago, though, so yeah, I kind of get past
it. I didn't actually.
Yeah, man, Rhea really makes that thing pop. I mean, I kind of think, and I think you guys will agree that really she's the one that's in a way organically got Dominic over by playing into the mommy role, or however you want to say that. I know there's kind of like a.
And like at first, like when all that happened, right? It's like you look at it and
it felt forced at first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
then now it's uncomfortable for Dom. He's like, this is weird.
Now, you know, they've kind of fallen into this stride as this faction, and everything just feels real loose. And, you know, Dom's got like that Eddie Guerrero swagger to him. I'm not saying that he's ever going to be on Eddie Guerrero's level, but you can you can clearly see that he's modeling himself after those guys, Conan, Eddie Guerrero. You know what I'm saying? His pops, like you can see.
I just don't think that he's, you know, he's not going to have the. He could pull off a 619, but he's not going to be his father, right? I mean, that's just not. He can't.
No, he's never going to be the most athletic thing in the ring.
Yeah, he can't try to emulate his father, and I think that, you know, he when he was a tag team with Ray, I think that there was this like I think the kind of the reason that like he wasn't particularly getting over at that point was that he was trying to just be. He was doing stuff with his dad, right? He's doing, let's do double frog splashes, let's do 619s, let's do that type of stuff. And you can't get over being that guy, right? You gotta be your own man. But luckily for him, he grew up in the business, so he's been around since he was 5 years old. Guys like Conan, guys like Eddie Guerrero, but also guys like Chris Benoit, guys we're not supposed to talk about, like Benoit. It's stuff like Dean Malenko. Who else?
Are we still not supposed to talk about Benoit? Wasn't he just like in a video package? Like
it's 2023. It's kind of fine now. I mean, last year was a little iffy, but I think this year's fine.
This year, it's finally like, what was it, 2009? All that happened, so it's finally now. What are we? What are we?
14 years later.
14. Yeah. Once you get past year 13, you're good to go.
I really think with the Dominic's Mysterio situation, the fact that he came in as such a white meat babyface and being the son of a, still active and very popular wrestler, I think he did have to do that.
Legend.
But
I don't think Ray's ever been a heel, has he? Ever. I don't even think they ever tried.
It's not very heely.
I don't even think they ever tried.
Iffy.
They maybe did something stupid in WCW.
No, he's Mexican John Cena, pal.
Yeah, they maybe did something. That's the thing. But the thing, like, he's American born. He was born in like California. He's not.
But it's so hard.
But he's still Mexican John Cena.
Yeah, I know.
Whenever that's your legacy, and them moving him into this arena, and making him such a hateable character to get this heat was such an easy, smooth transition. And now we're really seeing. I talked mad shit on Dom, and like you said, he's a heat magnet, and he's good for the business at this point. I will proudly say that boy is good for the business.
I'm proud of. I did not
see this coming at all.
I am. I enjoy watching him. I'm happy to see him on my TV screen every week. And this whole shit right now coming out of Christmas with the, when I was inside.
that was so good. Like when he started that, and it was that was like when that first happened, I immediately kind of was like a little like, this is kind of dumb. And then but by the time he got done with what he had to say and all of it, I was like, no, you know what? I'm okay with that. Let's go with that. Like, he got it over for me. And I was immediately and initially like, no, this is a non-starter for me. And then no, Dom got it over in whatever that minute that he had. And I'm like, all right, you know what? This guy's got something. He's going to be, clearly he comes from a pedigree that he ought to have something, but he does. So that's good. Good for him and good for us. Especially good for us. We're the fans. We're the ones watching. We're the ones watching this shit, right? That's good for us.
So
thank you, Dom.
Continuing with the Monday Night Raw theme, we've been getting some vignettes.
Banger after banger.
Cody Rhodes vignette. What do you want,
Question.
motherfucker?
I'm a little behind on my whole. I don't understand how this happened. What happened to Butch and the other homeboy?
Ridge.
Yeah. What's
They're
up
still
with
there.
this? Why is he now with Drew?
They're still there. They're still around.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
Butch
I was watching
and
SmackDown right before we got in here, and I was like, oh, well, it's Adam Pearce, and he's talking
banger
to
after
Drew
banger
and Sheamus, and they're like talking like they're the tag team rather than Butch and Ridge Holland. It just had me a little thrown off. I wasn't sure
because they're the banger bros, but no, they're a big happy family.
We're all a big European happiness group.
Yeah, bro. It's like what the fuck was that called? Alberto the River was in the League of Nations. That's what we got going on over here.
The League of Nations.
Yeah.
Whatever
the fuck that stupid faction was called. Sorry that I'm eating, y'all. I am starving.
Well, it's funny because
you're starving.
You probably didn't eat all day, and that's like it's like the Walt MO of like, Walt ate he ate breakfast and had a cup of coffee before he left. Wow. Walt had a cup of coffee at some point, and then He did. He worked and worked and worked and got home, and now it's like, oh well, I haven't eaten in 12 hours. Time to eat. I'm down 20 pounds. If anybody noticed, my shit's hanging on me. My shit's hanging on me now. Took forever.
Did you pull down your hat an extra? You get to clip the
No,
hat.
my head's gonna always be. My head's not fat. My head's just huge.
Yeah, look, big brain on song.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So shifting gears, let's get in here. So Cody Rhodes officially makes his return come Royal Rumble. Who didn't see that shit coming, right?
I mean, didn't we all see it? When he first got hurt, we were like, he'll be back at the Rumble. Yeah. Now he's going to be back at the Rumble.
It's going to be real hard for him to come out in that number 3 spot with Nick Aldis, on the back burner over there.
It really is. I feel like Nick Aldis is going to chuck Cody Rhodes, and we're all going to be shocked. We still coming to your house for that, Walt? Because
that is the anticipated plan.
Okay.
But that you both gentlemen know that is an ever evolving situation.
Well, I mean, if once I'm there, I'm not leaving. So,
right.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
if you leave, that's fine. I mean,
So, but yes, that is still the plan. That is so we shall see how that works out.
Either way, little. Oh, sorry, that hurt my muscles. Yeah. Anyway, we'll be streaming that, and yeah, you should proceed.
Yep, live
sorry,
watch
I fucked it
along.
all up. I pulled a muscle there trying to get a beer. I'm sorry.
Oh
proceed,
man, how hard is how rough is that? How rough must your life be pulling?
It's sad. It's very
Hey,
sad.
bud, you mean to tell me that you're already
over.
reaching for a beer?
I reached for one. I mean, he did have a giant goblet of.
Yeah, he had that's a set like a 16-ounce 10% IPA. He just fucking guzzled down like a glass of water.
He was thirsty. What do you want from him? He was a thirsty boy. You ever
19.2, and it's only 9.99, fucker.
It's only 9.99, Tom.
Only 9.99. I mean, what was this one? What are the bourbon barrel ales? 12?
It takes effort to put up with you bastards, so here I am.
The bourbon barrel ales are those are crazy, though.
I do love y'all, though.
Some knob, so a little bit of that.
Knob Creek 120. Just let me put my
Yeah, I got my liver. My doctor said my liver should not be imbibing like that any longer. So.
Oh yeah.
What? Really? Already?
That's sad because I guess I'll just have to open that bottle of Eagle Rare by myself.
Oh no! I'll be fine. I'll be fine for
your
that.
liver's being a big sis. You need to have pep talk.
Well, I think
we're a couple years older than me.
I think we've had a good pep talk. I think we're okay now. We took some time off. We took some time off. It's okay. This is a special occasion. I'm here with Yins. So there's that. I got some snow caps actually too.
Oh, those are so good. That fucking low key underrated fucking snacky candy.
Non-Periels are like the best candy ever, especially if you get them. Walton, I know you know with the Andes candies between Robinson and Weirton. If you get their non-Periels, whether it's the dark chocolate or the milk chocolate, those are legitimately my favorite candies ever. Now, chocolate will give me heartburn, but every year my mother still gets me like a $15 box of non-Periels, and I'm like, all right, and she gives them to me, and on my way home from when I get them, usually I get them around my birthday, I stop and get one of those like month-long like antacids. So I'm like taking it, like I don't even have heartburn, but I start taking like a Pepsid AC or something like every morning, just so that I can eat my non-Periels because otherwise,
fuck. So Listen, I think that it's good for business, man, that Cody Rhodes is going to be coming back at the Royal Rumble. I really do. I mean, the vignettes have been cool, like at the end of this one last night, Derek. I know you didn't see it, but it's kind of relevant to what we're talking about.
No,
It's like
Friday was cool, so that's good. Yeah, go on.
It's like, hey, man, I've made it very clear what I want since I came back, and if I got to win the Royal Rumble to achieve that. So.
And he also tweeted
though, that he's kind of
he tweeted the number 3.
Like, am I going to make it down this road? Am I ready to travel this path with you?
Well, I mean,
work my way back.
He's got to put the entertainment.
Yeah, you've got like 4 more years on your contract, motherfucker. Yeah.
He's got to put the entertainment back in sports entertainment, pal.
Mm-hmm.
That's good shit. Anyways, I mean, listen, Cody Rhodes definitely going to be a shot in the arm, right? But what I'm really interested to see is coming next Monday night, the 30-year anniversary. So are we going to get the setup to The Rock? Are we going to get the WrestleMania setup to The Rock? Because there's a bunch of rumors floating around the internet because they're doing this every generation of the bloodline thing on Monday, which I think is going to be dope to get to see Alpha and Sika and some of those cats, right? Like, it's always fun.
We're definitely getting them.
Always fun to trot those guys out, right? But like, there's a couple of plays that people are looking at, right? And one of them is that The Rock shows up and says, "You're not really the head of the table. I am."
I bet he shows up like this, though. If The Rock shows up, he's not there in person. He's holding his iPhone in the Iron Paradise in a pre-recorded. I think that I wouldn't get my hopes up as though he's going to be Dave Bautista showing up to in Pittsburgh and in a couple other places to egg on Triple H. I wouldn't get my hopes up for that. I think if anything, we get this version of The Rock from the iPhone. And maybe we get that. I mean, that's an easy enough clip for him to iPhone record and send in if he's going to do it. I don't know. I don't know that we're still
something he does every day anyway. So it's not like
yeah. It's not like it's changed. It changes his routine or his schedule at all. But I think if we're really going to get The Rock, I mean, I really think that we need to see. I think The Rock needs to be at stuff. For a little while, maybe he makes 3 or 4 appearances, but I mean, prior to WrestleMania. But I mean, I really think you need to see The Rock prior to WrestleMania. And man, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't get The Rock versus Roman at all. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I wouldn't be shocked at all.
I mean, that's fair too. But there's also an alternate theory on this, Derek, and I would love to get your take on this.
Yeah, because I got a theory.
The alternate take on this is that The Rock doesn't show up on Monday, and it infuriates Roman Reigns.
He calls him a bitch.
And it makes Roman Reigns angry to the point that that's how we get to WrestleMania, right? With The Rock. So what is your take on that, Derek? Like that different school of thought?
I can see that happening. To be honest with you, I don't think we see The Rock until Royal Rumble, if not after. I mean, Royal Rumble is the beginning of the road to WrestleMania, if I'm remembering correctly, now that we don't have Roadblock, I think it was called before, that they considered the road to WrestleMania beginning. I think that's a perfect spot for them to Fastlane. Yes, thank you.
Fastlane, yeah,
Fastlane. Yeah, I would say we get him at the Rumble. He's not going to be in the Rumble, but I could see him coming out and just doing a little show off session. The Usos come out and talk some shit about great uncle Rock or whatever they would be related to him, second cousin twice removed. Not really sure there, but
I did it for The Rock.
Mom always says sister wife.
Yeah,
sister wives.
I did it for The Rock, Bubba.
I did it for The Rock.
I really do think, though.
Shut your mouth, you thong wearing fatty. Sorry.
At Royal Rumble, we are going to see Roman Reigns drop a title to Kevin Owens. 100%. I'm putting money down right now. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. I don't think we see Sammy defect yet, but we're already starting to see little cracks. And
I
think
would
we're gonna
bet
get a little bit of a bigger crack.
I
that
would
night.
bet that Sammy makes a mistake and causes Roman to
Yep.
lose one of the
Yep.
title, like the WWE title, like
Yeah.
the WWE Heavyweight Championship.
Mhm.
I would almost bet that Sammy makes a mistake, and I think that's the catalyst for that.
When we
Now
get on
does
DraftKings here later, we'll go ahead and pull our money together. And
now
win
I
something.
think it's probably up in the air. I would say that probably happens, and maybe Roman still doesn't lose it, but he almost loses it. Like maybe he eats a stunner, and then like somebody has to come in, and like there has to be a disqualification or something like that. I think there's potential for that, but I don't know. We'll see. I think that's something's going to happen in that match to where like shit starts to fall apart. It's already kind of falling apart for the
Yes.
bloodline, but like I think there's like an accelerant. There's an incident.
Well,
Right?
because I think that like this has had to have been the plan from the rip, right? Like to get to WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood, Rock versus Roman, and like we're at the crux of this happening or not happening, and it's like you've got to sow those seeds of discontent and show that fracture, and see if we can get the rocket to take off in both directions. And they're seemingly doing that. I mean, Sami Zayn's as over as he's ever been. They're building KO to be like this just bloodline slayer right now, which is fucking awesome. I mean, Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns. There's no ifs, ands, buts about that, right? And I don't think anybody can argue that that is one of the best, if not the greatest thing on wrestling television right now, is all of that. And they've done such a masterful job interweaving that into both shows and making both shows relevant with the bloodline and the championship in one way, shape, or form, whether it's physically there or not. But I do feel like we're coming to the point in time where Roman Reigns is going to take a fucking vacation, right? Like,
I mean, he can't just. I mean, yeah, he's not going to just hang out forever. And also, like, absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? Like, how you have a great run, and then yeah, you lose your titles, and then you peace out because like it's been 2+ years. It's been a long time. What 800 and some days now? Are we
yes,
great 800? Like we're well over 2 years. And you know, at this point, I realize his schedule's reduced a little bit, but at the same time, like, you know, maybe go take a month, 2 months, you know, hang out with the fam, go, you know, get out, go do whatever, heal some. I mean, I'm sure, I mean, with a reduced, he doesn't seem to be hurt per se, but like, you know, heal up whatever nags.
he took a bigger contract for lesser dates. He got the Brock Lesnar contract. And that's another thing. Nobody's complaining about it.
No. Well, it's because he's still around. Like you see him at least once every other week, if not, you know, once a week.
I mean, but he's involved in this giant faction that is the main storyline. So like he doesn't need to be there.
No.
Like when Brock was on top with the newly minted Universal Championship that had been fucking tossed around to 6 different people in the first 3 months, like, and then he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go home for a little while because that's what my contract says." It's like, what the fuck, bro?
Yep.
You know,
well, but I think that was different too because there was periods of time where like there was between like WrestleMania and SummerSlam where we didn't see Brock, but he was the champ. Like, and it was like you know, he won at WrestleMania, and then we didn't see him until a month before SummerSlam. So it was like March or April to almost August. It was like April to July. And there was no title. So we haven't seen that with Roman yet. With Roman, it's been like with Roman, it's been like, oh, he wasn't there last week, but now he's here. And you know,
and I know I come in and I talk about this a lot, but I think that the way that the storyline has been handled has elevated the championship. Like,
yeah,
I
well,
don't know how you can possibly at this point go back to having two separate world champions because you've done so much work to elevate your world championship as one entity with this one storyline. I just don't.
but they haven't built anybody to that level either. And what we're going to get to here, I'm sure, in short order.
You mean to tell me that Cody Rhodes winning the Royal Rumble and becoming the undisputed heavyweight universal champion doesn't make sense? That's not a logical pathway?
I don't think they're going to do that, because I think if anything, I think they want Roman to defend both titles main event each night, and I think that's probably what's up in the air right now. I don't think Cody's getting both titles. I think Cody's going to win one of them. I don't think he's getting both of them. That's just my thoughts, though. I don't think.
I mean, and that's fair, but like, just from where I'm sitting, Derek, and you look perplexed here, but like, it's like I don't know how you can logically split the titles, and it makes sense.
I don't know why you're perplexed by this. Like, well, you're saying I'm perplexed, but I just don't understand why you think that they're unsplittable and it's not going to work. It worked for years because we have two brands.
Right, but we have two brands that have intertwined to become one brand for the most part.
Well,
and
okay, I got that.
Storytelling across the entirety of their television time has revolved around the championship, as pro wrestling storytelling should be.
Okay, well, this implies that you're saying that the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship, well, we've got two here, so we're done. We can't do anything. That doesn't make any sense.
Why doesn't that make sense? Because the Intercontinental Championship and
the WWE
the United States Championships are two mid-card titles that have been elevated vastly under the Triple H creative regime. So to the point where I don't need to see the World Championship on a Friday night whenever Roman Reigns is not scheduled, because I know Gunther's going to go in there and have a fucking banger of a match and beat the fuck out of somebody and make that championship look strong as fuck. I don't need to worry about not seeing Roman Reigns on Monday night because Austin Theory or Seth Rollins or Bobby Lashley is going to come out with the United States Championship strewn over their shoulder and present that championship as a meaningful one. I mean, Seth Rollins has said it himself that the United States Championship is the A championship on Monday Night Raw. Carmelo Hayes says the same thing in NXT about the North American Championship. And I just don't understand why we need to split and have two world champions when we can't just have one world champion like we've always had for the entirety of forever, up until fucking we bought WCW and we wanted to put their flashy belt that Ric Flair paid a bunch of money for on TV.
Okay, well, in that same vein, you guys at the beginning of the show listed about what? Between, let's go with 6 to 8 wrestlers who are top-tier talent. So you're saying between those 8 wrestlers, there's not 2 people that are significant enough to carry 2 world championship belts for the company?
Well, I just said Cody Rhodes could do it.
Well, no, see, here's the thing. I don't Cody Rhodes ain't Roman Reigns. And I think there's only a few people who could do what Roman has done with those. I don't see Cody. I see Cody as, if they try to do the same thing with him, I see it being a letdown. But if Cody runs Friday nights and he's there every Friday, I think that probably is a better idea. I think if you take the titles off of Roman and Roman takes a vacation, I think you kind of go back to what WWE was when Edge and John Cena were co-champs and headlining their own shows, kind of thing. Or that way you can have Cody Rhodes have his own feud with Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, and it would be with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and whomever else on Monday nights. You could have somebody having a top tier title feud Mondays, and he could even have a feud with Austin Theory or whatever. And then on Fridays you have a full-time champion, especially during the year. I'm not saying to never reunite them again, because I think you give Roman a break. And then you have him come back and tear everybody apart and take them both back. Maybe actually unite them this time and say, these are one, and have the one title or something. But I think that, you split them up again for the time being, just to see what happens, especially while they're in this flux of like, maybe we're going to sell. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit going on behind the scenes, and we're gonna get to that hopefully at some point. But it's I think that's kind of the thought behind it, is that, like, there's TV deals coming up, there's renegotiations of that. They're trying to sell the company at the same time, and so, and at this also, Roman's approaching 3 years in. It's time to let the big dog have a little rest, and I think that's coming. Those chickens are coming to roost.
It's time to put the winter
I don't
puppy
agree
on
with the
porch.
rest. I don't agree with that being the reasoning behind it. I get that he's human, that he needs the rest. But at this point, I'm in love with the fact that it has been almost nearing 3 years, and this man has been the top dog this whole time.
No, I agree, because we've not seen a dominant title reign like this in a long time.
It's great. I'm just saying, if it's coming to an end, I don't see anybody that is Roman. That's all I'm getting at.
I don't see anybody that has the ability to carry both belts and make it believable. That is 100% for certain. Not even a Brock Lesnar. I don't want to see a Brock Lesnar.
They can be one belt.
Okay, that's fine. If you want to treat them like instead of treating them like two separate brands, then we need to acknowledge that it's just a weekly show that happens to have 2 episodes per week that culminate into 5 hours of entertainment. You can't come at me with they're 2 separate brands. And because I'm Ricochet,
I've been the one sitting here for the better part of 16 months, ranting, raving, begging, pleading for WWE to unify the roster and not have 2 brands.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that would be great. They'd have to do that.
Both belts. Does that really look that bad on camera? That we could just have the WWE Universal Champion, whatever you want to call it, give that man 2 belts. He's Roman 2 belts now. That doesn't mean that one is separable from the other. They are a unit, but I think it looks better on camera. Plus, it gives Paul Heyman something to hold. It adds a little extra pizzazz to the presentation. I'm being serious. I'm really not being an asshole. I know that's normally an asshole comment from me, but I am being serious.
Does give Paul something to hold. Does get. Well, did I miss something?
Yes, my podcast chief.
Why does Paul Heyman call Sami Zayn Schmolly? I don't get it.
Because Paul Heyman's Jewish.
I get it, but I don't know what that means.
But like, it's like it's some sort of term of endearment, I assume, because I've heard it on like cartoons, like
Jewish
with
as well. So
like
okay.
So I
was just curious. I'd never heard it before, and I'm like, it must mean some term of endearment, and they seem to get along, but at the same time, I got nothing.
That makes sense.
And the thing is, they used to hate each other.
Why?
Yeah, they had real heat backstage.
Sammy never got any bad checks from Paul E.
They had real heat backstage.
Were you there?
Documented. Came to a head on Talking Smack. Go check it out. Do a little research.
No, yeah, it definitely exists.
So, I want to touch on something real quick, and then we got to get into the meat and potatoes. This one here is for Derek mostly, man. Derek, so Wrestle Kingdom was last weekend, right?
Yes, sir.
Dave Meltzer gave fucking Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega fucking 72 stars in the fucking Thunderdome. What's your take on the match?
Well, I'll tell you what, bud. I don't need Daddy Meltzer to tell me what was a good fucking match, what wasn't. That was a good fucking match. That was a match worth tuning in for.
But you know what, man?
Okay, hold on. Before you slice me to pieces, because I know it's coming. I know where this is leading to. If you actually watch the entire show, the ending with Jay White.
Hey, bud, I love wrestling just as much as the next guy, but I don't have 28 hours to sit and watch Japanese
very, very
New
long.
Japan Pro Wrestling, Wrestle Kingdom every fucking year. Okay,
very fucking long. And it's like 3 a.m. Of course, we have websites to fix that, but yeah.
But still,
but overall, man. Excuse me, fellas. That match was fucking fantastic. That was.
You know what I think it was? I think it was a goddamn
That
giant
was-
ploy to put more fucking irrelevant championships on fucking AEW television. Here's what I think. I think that fucking AEW is so goddamn concerned about this partnership with New Japan and fucking WWE that just recently took place that Tony Khan was like, oh.
He has a Japanese accent now. Wow.
I mean, who knows, dude? He could fucking blow enough coke. He could probably fucking turn into fucking Super Shredder
Misatoni.
Harato Moshi, whatever fuck that
Yeah,
little
yeah.
guy's name was. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
I mean, come on, bro. Like, you're not going to tell me that those two getting thrown together like that out of nowhere, out of the blue, with very
out of the blue, they fucking hate each other.
But I know,
legit.
stop. I know that they hate each other, but there was zero machine behind that match. It just kind of popped up a week or so before the fucking Wrestle Kingdom card, and everybody's like, "Oh, we're finally gonna get it." But like to me, that's Tony Khan making a phone call, going, "Yo, what's going on with WWE, y'all?" Like, well, I thought we had a fucking deal here. Like, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that United States Championship back on my television program.
Well, to me, I'm hoping that NJPW was like, hey, guess what? You don't really do a lot with our guys, and we give you a lot of love.
What are you talking about? They put their guys over all the time.
What?
Like this,
they did what? Jay White for what? Like 2 weeks in a segment? They have the guy that's feuding with MJF. I can't really say his name. What are we doing here? I've never seen. Well, we had the Ace once. We had the Ace one time. He fought Dean Ambrose. Lost. John Moxley. Whatever. New Japan has not had proper representation as should have been.
Because they're not over. Look, when they did the whole Forbidden Door thing, the whole build to that, like the ratings
that was
tanked.
trash.
The ratings tanked and dumped. And on top of that, and we got to talk about this too a little bit, is, the ratings tanked and then they injured Adam Cole and almost ended his career. So, thankfully he's back, baby. But at the same time, like, I mean, that was a tragedy. That Forbidden Door thing for AEW, it was a freaking tragedy. And
hopefully lessons were learned, because I do agree it was not what it was billed to be, but there was a ton of potential there, man, and they should have been able to get these guys over.
Yeah, maybe, but
explain to the American audience who they are.
I mean, Excalibur tried, but he tried like mid calling the match. And like nobody gave a crap about that
anymore. I think I feel like I'm the last one in our group of three that have finally come to terms with Excalibur. Just kind of is mediocre.
Like he's so easy to drown. He's so easy to tune out because he never shuts up. And like Tony Schiavone like interrupts him and it's jarring. But at the same time, like when Tony interrupts him, it's like Tony interrupted him to say nothing. And then maybe Taz like adds a little. I feel like Taz is the only person that I have to listen to, really. Although he's just said, "Oh, the Juji Gatami there," but still, same. It's just, Taz is the only person that I have to listen to on AEW. I don't know, man. I feel like the Forbidden Door stuff and this, like this Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega thing coming up, like. I know Dave Meltzer gave it all the stars in the Tokyo Dome, but at the same time, I watched a good bit of it, and it was, I don't know, it was fine. It was what I expected it to be. It was lots of flippies and
let's just say it's a different style of wrestling.
It's that choreographed kind of thing, and it's like, I've seen the match before, and I know they choreographed it to be what Dave likes and to get all the stars and all that stuff, but it was just what it was.
It was not for Tom.
It was what I expected it to be. And I'm not saying that it was poorly done. It wasn't. It was clearly well put together. It was a very Cirque du Soleil, which people pay a lot of money to see, Cirque du Soleil. But that's what it was.
As every time I speak to you.
I'm just saying, at any point in time in that match, did I believe they were fighting? No. Did I believe they were putting on a glorious performance? Of course. But at no point did I think they were fighting. In fact, even though we kind of shit on it, the street fight they had on Friday night that nobody watched felt like way more of a fight than that match did. So, from my perspective, it's like, did they put on this glorious performance? Of course they did. Of course they are glorious performers. At any point did I believe they were fighting each other? Not particularly. So, if you're into that, that's fine. That's not what I really watch pro wrestling for, but that's fine.
So, hey, and something else notable happened on that show too. Mercedes Moné made her long-awaited New Japan Pro Wrestling debut.
Sure did that almost overshadowed actually that match. Truth be told, only because she went out there and tried to do whatever her new finisher is, and she botched it a little bit. It looked kind of stupid. It didn't look like it hurt either, and that just sort of like kind of put a pinpoint in what was also kind of the whole night of like, well, nobody's really fighting. These are just beautiful performances, and part of me. I feel two ways about this. One, as far as Sasha Banks, Mercedes Varnado being, it was her dream to wrestle. She wants to wrestle in Japan. That was the thing. She walked out of WWE, which she's done a couple of times. But she wanted to wrestle in Japan, and she's going to get the chance to do that now. They're gonna give her some pay-per-view spots, particularly the ones in America, and. She was in Japan, obviously, for Wrestle Kingdom. And, I think she's going to get the opportunity to do that stuff, and I think it's going to be good. But at the same time, it's like, is she the main event draw that the internet wishes she was? Because obviously the internet wrestling community is like, oh my God, she's the biggest star. We need to see her on television every week. She should have all the titles. There's that faction of the internet. I don't necessarily think that. Has she earned her right as one of the four horsewomen? She did, but I think at this point she was probably the fourth. She's the lesser of the four, because she ain't Charlotte, she ain't Becky, and she ain't Bayley. Maybe that's me being biased. I love Bayley. I'm a big Charlotte fan too. Obviously, Becky is the man. Nobody would argue with that. And I think that Sasha Banks was sort of the weakest link out of the four. No. She was not the Mongo McMichael of the four horsemen. She was.
I'm surprised she doesn't come out in a Chicago Bears jacket with her blue leopard hair. Looking like a fucking idiot.
I'm not the biggest fan of that wig, if I'm being honest.
You look like a fucking idiot, and I can't use harsher terms because we're online. And then you're going to present yourself as the CEO? Oh, really? Really? You don't look like any CEO I've ever fucking seen, and you haven't done anything that convinces me that you're worth half a shit other than injuring people. So, and you injure people, you walk out of companies, you don't do fucking business. And then you hold everybody hostage for 6 fucking months and show up in JPW. Fuck you.
Derek has spoken.
Lucky for you guys, there will not be any updates on Monet because I will not be watching her matches. And I'm the only one in here that watches NJPW, so we're good.
Yeah, probably, honestly. If we're being honest. He's not wrong.
Okay, well, now that Derek just told us to go fuck ourselves, I guess we'll get into them.
I hate the topic of her. I'm sorry, I do. Hold on, before you get into the deep main topic, you go into the deep topic.
Yeah.
The cover topic. Can we talk about one other thing real quick?
Yeah, what do you want to talk about, bud?
Let's talk about Bray Wyatt. I want to talk about Bray Wyatt.
Oh, jeez.
Why?
Okay, no, listen, Tom, I've got this one. You just go ahead and sit back and relax. Okay, bud, let's talk about Bray Wyatt.
Name one person he's got over. Who's he got over?
Who's Bray Wyatt gotten over?
Yeah. As the Fiend.
As the Fiend?
In his whole, hey, man, you know me, man.
You mean like in the entirety of his career? You're going to ask who Bray Wyatt's gotten over?
No, I'm not talking who come out with, Carter and Eric Redbeard. I'm talking about our most recent, the Funhouse Playhouse, and our now new weird camo Bray Wyatt that has a rocking chair and speaks in the riddles.
Okay, so let's talk about new Bray Wyatt. Okay, we
Let's
don't
talk
need to
about
talk
it.
about we don't need to talk about the Fiend and the Firefly Funhouse because that chapter that chapter in life is closed. Okay,
It was fun, but it was trash.
okay, that book is closed. Okay, the Firefly Funhouse has locked its doors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
It burned down. Seth Rollins burned it down.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about new Bray Wyatt. All right.
Yeah.
So you don't like it and you're over it because it's a slow burning thing that's taking
Don't you
place
start your
week after
shit,
week
Walt.
after
Don't you
week
start
after
your
week
shit, 'cause
after
I know
week.
what you're saying, because this is
Hey.
what I want, but it's not.
Okay, but hey, bud, we're like, I mean, realistically, we're like 6 weeks into this thing with Bray Wyatt, right? 8 maybe. Okay.
I'd go with 8.
Clearly there is a lot of layers to this onion because the night that he came back, they showed us 6 fucking characters, right? All sorts of speculation about what that's going to look like. Then all of a sudden, Uncle Howdy starts showing up. Bray Wyatt's kind of like not Bray Wyatt. He's like, hey, this is me, man. Bray Wyatt, man. Real Bray Wyatt for the first time ever. Even though you know that it's not, but like, he's building what this character is. He's building the foundation of what this character is. And I'm sorry that it's taking 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks for the pieces to start falling into place. Okay. But like we got Uncle Howdy, right? Who's like supposed to be the overlord of this whole thing based on how the storyline has been structured. He comes in, Sister Abigail's him, everybody's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, this is a deep-seated storyline. This isn't just something that Bud, they hired a fucking like Academy Award-winning horror writer to come in and head the creative on this with Bray Wyatt. Like, they are investing time, money, and effort into the entirety of this storyline. Let it play out. If it turns around and fucking Alexa Bliss has got fucking black goop coming out of her eyes again in 8 weeks, yeah, you were right. Okay. But do not sit here and pass judgment on this whenever it hasn't even fucking, it hasn't even sprouted, hasn't had a chance to sprout. Like, it's just the seeds have been planted. We don't even know what seeds we planted. We're just waiting for something to grow.
Unfortunately, at this point, with all these faces, it looks like a fucking Insane Clown Posse discography is what it looks like.
I mean, it looks exactly
You don't like
what
the
Tom said it
Insane
was.
Clown Posse?
No.
Oh, well, that makes one of us.
At this point, it looks exactly like Tom said it was, and these are all of Bray Wyatt's alter egos that are going to start coming to light, and he's going to end up feuding with himself at some point.
He sort of already is.
It works, man, but right now I'm just like, just get to it.
But I mean, is he though?
Don't show me anything. I don't.
Is he though, Tom? Because like we don't know at this point. We don't know at this point for sure if Uncle Howdy is Bray or if it's somebody else. Or
well, I mean, I think it's clearly it's very clearly played by Bo Dallas. I think that's the.
I get that, but I think that it could be not Bo Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
right. No,
I mean
not
100%. But
like I don't think that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be like he's going to pull the mask off. It was Bo Dallas. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
With the rope in the dining room.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think that there's going to be some of that in the lead up to it. So
hey, listen, I'm going to step away for a hot second. I'm going to go tell my kid good night. If you guys want to roll into the whole Vince McMahon thing, y'all do that. I'll catch up when I get back.
Okay. Well, let's finish talking about Bray because I want to talk about this
great.
a little bit.
That's fine.
As far as Bray being concerned of feuding with himself and or whether or not this is getting over, I don't think I agree with you in a sense that like there's a potential for this to jump the shark, right? And we're going to talk about Vince McMahon here in a minute, and if Vince comes back in and has some sort of creative push, particularly with Bray, I think there's certainly the potential for it to like fall off the cliff and be like, Jesus Christ, like it could potentially go from whatever this mysterious kind of spooky crap is to like Alexa Bliss having dark goop coming out of her mouth again. And I think the potential is there. My hope is that what they're doing, particularly with Alexa and the rest of this, is kind of tying a bow on it and putting it to rest. Either bring Alexa in and like get her back out of the storyline in some way, because she's kind of had to be this like sort of weird spooky character for a long time, even after they fired Bray Wyatt. So I think bringing her in is a better idea than just like ignoring it and forgetting entirely that she was part of it at one point. But
unfortunately
also,
for her, I feel like it's really hamstrung her character though because of that. Because it ended so abruptly, and then we had to go to counseling, and then now she's just been in this mid mode of where I don't know what kind of character I am. Now she's kind of leaning back towards the Bray Wyatt, which I don't think that was planned. I don't think that they had that in their repertoire until they finally figured out that Bray Wyatt was coming back.
Well,
I think they were trying to move her
out. I mean, probably, but I think it makes more sense now to like kind of just wean her out and get her like just put some closure on it. I think that's really the key, is that we haven't had any closure, and I think that's kind of the biggest failure of any of the past Bray Wyatt stuff, is that like we never really get any closure in any of it, especially with the Fiend run, particularly because like Randy Orton burned him to a crisp, but then all of a sudden he came back and was like, I'm not burned alive anymore, but he still lost. And then he went away, and it was like, what? Like he was dead, and then he's not dead, and now he's gone, and then he's fired. And so, I think they're trying to put a bow on all of it. And I agree it's taken a little while to get there, but I think it's still really over. I think it's hard to not acknowledge how over all of it is. You know what I mean? Like it gets big pops. Everybody freaks out about it. It's all anybody wants to talk about on the internet the next day, regardless of what happens otherwise. So yeah, I mean, could it go stupid? Yeah, probably. Might it go stupid? I think it depends on whether or not Vince decides to make it stupid or not.
At this point, I just don't see the track record as being a positive. Track record it was stupid last time, unfortunately, and I was all for it, buddy. But
I mean, I think it was cool until it wasn't, right? Like it started out like really cool, especially with the Firefly Funhouse stuff. Like all that was neat, but then like once he became like the world champion, and then he fought Seth Rollins with the red lights on in the steel cage, it was like, okay, it jumped the shark. And I think we're still in that period where it's like, okay, this is kind of cool and neat and like interesting in what we're doing, but does it get to the point where it jumps the shark and is just it fizzles out again? Because I think that's it's a legitimate like worry, because it's like getting so much time and attention and clip money and whatever else. Does it just falter again, as it has, an unaccounted for amount of times? But before Walt gets back, I do think we need to start talking about, the big.
Yeah, let's just pump the brakes on that for a hot second.
Okay.
Because as I was sitting down here, I just
wait. Walt's hair changed.
I was scrolling. Ringside News, no DQ, DQ, Dirt Sheet Radio, Sean Ross Sapp are reporting that Jay Briscoe has been killed in a car accident.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
This is from the news report. A fatal car collision in Laurel left 2 dead Tuesday evening, according to Delaware State Police. The incident occurred in an area of Laurel Road and Little Hill Road around 5:30 p.m. and caused an extended road closure. No names were released at the time of the report. Wow, man.
Wow. I don't.
Tony Khan tweeted this out, so like everybody's just picking up on it.
That's probably about the worst thing you could hear right now. That's awful. That's damn. R.I.P. Shit.
Yeah, it's kind of.
That's a damper.
Yeah, a little bit. But I felt that it was important that we get that
Clearly.
out there.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm sure that we'll have more on this next week. Just this is obviously just now coming in. Wow.
That's
what a time to be in the world. 2023 is sucking already.
Well, just another one in a long line of not great, but yeah. All right.
Okay, so aside from that, I mean, obviously the thing that we came here to talk about this evening, and I mean, we're a little deep into our time slot here, and I'm sure that we will try to keep this as tight as humanly possible. Last week, it was Wednesday last week, right? Roughly. So about 8-9 days ago, something like that. Vince McMahon had been reinstated as the executive chairman of WWE, to which we were met with a resignation letter from CEO Stephanie McMahon. And this is kind of just gone off the rails very, very quickly. I don't know what to make of everything. Now, Tom, obviously this is more up your alley than absolutely, my man. We were just talking about that. So like, I don't know, Tom. Kind of I'm sure that you have been following this much more closely than the latter of us. It's just, to me, it looks like a bunch of fucking shit in a fucking punch bowl.
Well, I mean, he's always been the majority shareholder.
Yes, that never stopped.
I think when he retired, part of me is starting to think that the retirement was more of a like, all right, well, you'll just leave and get the heat off, and then once the heat's done, you can come back. And I think the heat has ended because clearly, like, as news travels, nobody cares. And okay, oh well, Vince McMahon's back. He's the chairman of the board, and it's not like he's making creative decisions and it's not like we're hearing him. Oh, he rewrote SmackDown at 5 p.m. Which is
well. I mean, I did hear that he returned to his office this week and has been heavily suggesting changes.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, but also Triple H has said that he's been in relative constant contact with Vince McMahon since he left as well. So I'm not sure. It's hard to say where the truth begins and where the rumors start, right? It's hard to say at this point, because at first, especially, they said that they sold to Saudi Arabia and now they're going to take it public, or now they're going to take it private. But there was never really, I mean, that takes a long time, and they were never gonna like do that overnight. It was never going to be a thing. And those rumors were debunked. The rumor showed up like at 10 p.m. and it was debunked by whatever 8 or 9 a.m. the following day. And so and there's been a lot of that, and then it's been a lot of he's talking to Bob Iger over at Disney about selling to Disney, which there's a potential of like them selling to Disney to put it on ESPN and make ESPN look like a more attractive property to sell as well, because otherwise ESPN doesn't really have something like Monday Night Raw, and that would really make Monday Night Raw really attractive. It would make ESPN really attractive to sell, because then they've got not only Sports Center and all the basketball contracts and whatever else they have, but then they've also got WWE and all that footage, right? So they can just put whatever they want, 50 years of pro wrestling on ESPN on an ESPN app, get you to pay for that, and that's really what they want. That's really what they want to do, over at Disney. At the same time, NBC Universal could potentially be a buyer because they hold, as far as the contracts for Raw, which they've been that Raw's been on USA since its inception 30 years ago. So it's been there. I mean, there was a stint,
like the TNN years, and
TNN, and what was the other one? It was on Spike for a hot minute.
Spike for a little while
when Spike was a thing. But yeah, I mean, it's been pretty much on USA for 27 of 30 years. And so that's a potential too. And then they've got deep pockets and unlimited pockets, and they've already signed the big deal with Peacock, and that kind of just solidify. That would just sort of solidify that, I think. Really, I think that's probably the most likely, those two. Saudi Arabia, I think to sell to them, I think really makes it hard for them to get any kind of lucrative TV deal, which is really where all the money comes from now. So if you sell to Saudi Arabia, it's like, yeah, Vince McMahon gets a payday, but like, does Saudi Arabia want to buy something that they then can't put on TV? And because I mean that effectively would end, like it would become worthless at that point, because they wouldn't have a TV deal. Whether or not they'd be able to sign people or keep people from signing, but like everybody'd leave, and there'd be another U.S. promotion to pop up or something like that. I mean, people go to AEW, GCW'd have a uprising. There'd be all kind of things. The end of they don't want to do that, right? The shareholders don't want that. Nobody wants that, because then it basically kills off a brand, and you lose all the wrestlers who are independent contractors. And if you can't pay the independent contractors their independent contracts, they're gonna go. And what are you gonna do if you're Saudi Arabia? Like, you can hold them if you're a U.S. based company. You can hold them under U.S. law to the contracts, but like Saudi Arabia buying lawyers to hold people for no money, and like spending all this money in court to not have a TV deal lined up, to get TV deals dropped. I mean, it seems like a fruitless endeavor from my perspective on that. But I think that it will be sold probably by the end of this year. I would expect it to be Disney or like NBC, like Comcast, that group. But and I think Vince McMahon's back. Clearly, he's back for that. He's back for that. Like he put whatever 50 years of his life into it, and now he's back for that last payout of like, I built this from nothing to I bought this from my father on his deathbed and turned it into the biggest. I turned this in pro wrestling into the biggest thing that it's ever been in the existence. And he goes home with his whatever $8 billion or whatever it was, after having funded this on credit cards. He had WrestleMania 3 booked on his Amex card for the most part, and was just hoping the gate would pay off before the end of the month. So having stuff like that and being able to pull off something like that at whatever he'd be at the time, 78 years old, is kind of a feat that not many people have been able to do. Nobody's really been able to do, especially in a sort of legitimate fashion. Like it's not like he took over politics and lobbied for stuff. He just took pro wrestling from
Yeah,
what
I
it
mean,
was to
and
what it is.
we've talked about that at length, right? Like, thank God
Yeah.
Vince McMahon woke up and chose pro wrestling instead of the fucking world. But like
Right?
at the same point in time, man, like I can't help but feel like this is just all smoke and mirrors, right? Like my man got bored, and now all of a sudden he wants to sell. He wants to sell his little baby. And he comes back and he flexes his majority shareholder muscle, and next thing you know, he's executive chairman, and now everybody's worried about their jobs and their creative direction and the way things are going. I mean, stock prices are through the roof, which is great for the company and those that hold stock options and that probably vested after Vince retired or are planning on, having some sort of vesting interest once the company is sold. I'm sure that's probably got a lot to do with stock options. But
Sure.
to me, man, it's all smoke and mirrors. All I see is smoke and mirrors. I don't believe for one second that this man is going to sell his company away and come back and sell the company away and just be done with it all, right? Like I just it doesn't make sense to me. I I've got to feel like this is just a power move to get back in the reins, and just be like, hey man, fuck you. Fuck your SEC filing. Fuck your bullshit litigation. Fuck your bullshit investigation. Like, I don't know if you know, but I'm Vincent Kennedy motherfucking McMahon.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I do think I do think it's going to sell. However, I think when it sells, I think they hire on Vince McMahon for sure. I think they probably hire back. I think any of the ones, particularly NBC and Disney, keep Triple H and Stephanie and bring back Stephanie as well. I think Steph's just leaving to do her thing for now, and then
I see. I disagree. I disagree. She left for a reason in the first place. Okay. Then all of a sudden, daddy gets in trouble, and now she's content to step in as the chairwoman of the board and co CEO. And now all of a sudden, Vince comes back and she's like, yeah, I'm going to resign.
I don't
Even
know.
though
I
Vince
think
stated that he was not going to change the management team because he believed that the management team and the executive team was in place, was there for the greater good and success of WWE, didn't hesitate. Nope, I'm going to resign. There's something going on there.
I would bet though that Vince does eventually, especially if it's sold. I think he steps back because he is an old man. Like he's a very old man, and I think he steps back and I'm sure he pulls the reins a little bit. But at the same time, I think he steps back. I think Steph steps back in after having a nice little hiatus. And this is at least next year, if not, longer down the line than that. I think it sells. I think Triple H stays as head of creative. I think Nick Khan stays as well. But I think Vince at some point starts to redistance himself because he is going to need to retire at some point. Maybe it's not this year. Maybe it's next year. But I think Stephanie comes back. Once Vince starts to phase himself out, because they clearly don't get along. I think they get along as family, but they don't get along very well as like people who work together. That's probably that probably makes sense. I think Shane had the same, the same. I just don't think that he had this the stick around power. I don't, obviously his wife's not, as deep in the business as Triple H would be with Vince as well. So, I think she comes back at some point to sort of manage the finance and the sort of CEO side of it once Vince steps back down, once all of this is sold, because if it's sold, and that seems to be the intent now, is to sell, right? Once it's sold, I think whomever pulls her back in, once they let Vince ride off into the sunset with all his money once he's been bought out, and they hire her and they keep Triple H on for as long as that happens. I don't know that it's a long-term thing, and I think long-term it's probably not great for WWE. I think maybe 20 years from now when we're old men, thinking about it. I remember when Vince McMahon used to run. Remember when Triple H was? They're not going to be around. Like that's not going to be a thing anymore. Triple H ain't working until he's 70. You know, he ain't working into his 70s. And none of that, I don't think is, I think, 5-10 years from now, I think this is the pro wrestling landscape is a very, very different thing. And this is the catalyst of it. This is the spark. But I still think we see a lot of McMahons, and I think we see a lot of Paul Levesque. For the foreseeable future, at least the next 4, 5, 6 years. But I think this is sort of the catalyst towards the end.
I don't know, Derek. What do you think about the whole Vince McMahon situation, bro? Like, just all of the shit surrounding it.
All right, so where we're at right now, Vince McMahon pulled what I'm going to call a programmer move and said, "Fuck y'all, I have all these B-class stocks," which is amazing that he had the foresight to break up his company in such a way that no matter what happens, even though he doesn't come across as having full control, even in the wonderfully shady business of stocks, he does. He is the deciding vote no matter what on anything. Even if you do catch me on some bullshit tripping on some women, I'm still in charge. I am the Mac Daddy. I am Vince McMahon. I built this company. What I find sad about this...
Turn off the Mac.
Mm-hmm. I was so happy whenever I saw that title. I was like, that is fucking great.
I
Anyway,
figured you'd appreciate that.
I find it really, really sad how this all has panned out. It really sets him in a bad light. I mean, it's kind of like, you know what, man? You've had your run, and now you want to sell it to whomever is the highest bidder. That's just sad for me at this point. I want to see this company, for as much fault as it has along the years, and as much as I can't stand the booking at times, I still don't want to see this gone to a different family. It's just not going to feel right, and it's going to come across completely different. Even if they play characters on television, still, we all know it's not the same. I see them selling it. I think that's a guaranteed thing. I don't think there's any doubt at this point that it will be sold. I feel though that the Saudi Public Relations Fund, or whatever it's referred to as, that would be making the purchase, was 100% a litmus test to see how the public and also the talent would respond to that kind of situation. I think they...
Yeah, well, they didn't respond well, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think in real time they got their results there that showed that, majority are not going to be happy. There's multiple high-level talent that will not want to deal with these people. There's also... I can't actually put an accurate percentage on it, but let's say 20% of the audience instantly is going to say, nope, we're out. Now, 5 years down the road, once everything kind of squanders away and we forget all this and it's still WWE now, then forever, even though it's owned by the Saudis, I think you're going to regain some more public confidence. But I don't know that it's going to be worth the hit on your business, nor do I know that the stockholders are going to be willing to withstand that kind of scenario for that length of time, and the tarnishment that's going to come to that company for that. This isn't what they bought into.
I agree. I don't think it would be worth. I don't think it would be it could maybe sell, but I think at that point, everybody cashes out. They don't get new TV deals, at least not with Fox. Right. Probably not with USA. If anything, it gets some sort of meandering like.
Yeah, we're gonna be watching it on Al Jazeera television.
Yeah, and it just doesn't, and it just goes from whatever being worth $9 billion to like whatever Vince paid for WCW back in it ends up being that level of a situation. So
I feel like Wolf's got that look about him that was like, fuck, I didn't expect him to have an actual intelligent response to this.
No, I just have this. I have this thing in my brain that when you start talking and I click.
Oh, it was a good one. You should have tuned in.
I'm sure that it was fantastic. I mean, at the end of the day, the long and short of it is, I don't know what's going to happen. I think that all three of us have varying opinions on what it means, what it looks like, um, what's going to happen. I will be interested to see uh, if there is actually a sale or if Vince continues to make suggestions. There's a couple lawsuits that have been filed recently to block him from taking over as the executive chairman, and there's a lot of moving parts still in all of this. And quite frankly, I'm glad that we had a couple of weeks to really put it together, to get the opportunity to kind of see it unfold a little bit before we jumped in feet first.
Absolutely, I agree with that because we could have got some hot takes there off the beginning whenever it first happened, but instead we gave it some time to little percolate, little resonate,
Right
and
now,
now we can really see the whole story.
We've seen some things, through some different lenses and such, and I mean that's where we're at. So all right, guys. Well, I mean, I feel like that we've only got one logical place left to turn here. Tom, what's your match of the week, bub? Tom, you're muted, bud.
You're right. Okay, so I think that SmackDown was a really good show, and I think for me, the match of the week has to be Braun Strowman versus Gunther. I think it was the best match Braun Strowman's ever put on in his entire career. Obviously, Gunther puts on a banger every time he gets in the ring, but it was absolutely the best match that Braun Strowman has ever put on, and it was great start to finish. I didn't know what to do because obviously the monster is a monster, right? And he's the monster amongst men, or he's the monster among monsters now, right? And he finally, got his shot against Gunther. And there was a little bit of interference from Imperium, but man, what a cool match, especially the finish. I feel like the lead up to the finish was really good. I think that's really where it was the lead up to the finish and the finish being clean. I think that's what put it over Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for me. Was like the end of that match ended in disqualification. But the Strowman versus Gunther, I feel like really like it was a relatively clean finish. Gunther powerbombing Strowman like that at the end of the match was just, oh my God. Like I saw it happen and I was like, holy crap, what a power bomb. And yeah, that really was like, to me, the match of the week is as good as, obviously we know Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens can tear it down, and they did, but this was something new and something I hadn't seen before, and something I had been looking forward to, and it didn't disappoint. So that's why it's my match of the week.
I absolutely thought that it delivered, and I mean, it was one of Braun Strowman's better in-ring showings, and I'm glad that we got to enjoy it. Derek, what's your match of the week, bub?
It absolutely was, Tom. I do have to throw that in there. That was a fantastic match, and also the shoes he was wearing get to be auctioned off for 2021 Parade Massacre Victims, which is fantastic for the Green Bay.
Yeah, that was a cool. I like that vignette before too. It gave me the warm feelies too. Yeah. So I had the warm feelies going into the match, which was nice.
So I'm gonna pull in my tag team partner here, my daughter Sydney Claire Wright. She's gonna tell us one of my match of the weeks. You ready, baby?
Yeah.
Okay, you gonna say it? Yeah. Say it loud. Say it loud. Say it loud. Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega.
Will Ospreay.
Yeah,
Ospreay. Good job, baby. Thank you.
Good work. Good work.
So, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay Guys, this was just athleticism off the charts. This is exactly what you expect to see whenever you tune into a Kenny McFinger Bang gymnastical match. While
Gymnastical.
he may have quite the
Gymnastical.
horrible reputation for such things, sometimes, man, it just gets over deep in my soul. It just reaches a part of my heart that I love it. In addition to that, I'd also like to point out, though, the Hangman John Moxley match to start off Dynamite this week was freaking stellar. The entire entrance, the entire setup of the thing was an intensity. That would be the word I would use, intensity. And loved exactly what I saw. It was hard hitting, beat him up, yeah, good stuff on that one. Yeah, I'm really horrible at the explanation part, especially when I got my family involved here. But yeah, those are my two. I wanted to give two because it's been a couple weeks. So yeah, that's where I'm on those.
My match of the week.
There we go.
For the AEW Trios Championships, match number 7, the ladder match. Hey man, if you're not watching, you're not paying attention. That's everything that AEW fans have come to love and expect from Death Triangle and the Elite.
Yes, sir.
We've been getting that, off to the side just to spite Tom, but like AEW's been doing a pretty good job telling some other stories. I'm really interested to see, now that the Elite are the Trios champions again, what that means for them moving forward. Maybe it's still just one of those things as an appeasement to put them off to the side, to keep them out of all of the going-ons that we're starting to see that are moving the AEW brand in the right direction. Only time will tell. It was an enjoyable 7 matches. I know we came in here and we talked a bunch of shit about it. Tom just scoffs at me every week that I make this my match of the week. But like, it was an entertaining series of matches.
I'm glad there's no more. God.
They took 7 matches, gave us 7 entirely different matches, which is something that not a single person in the entirety of the world, us 3 included, thought that they would do. We thought we would get 7 identical matches, and we just didn't. So kudos to those 6 gentlemen for going out there and putting on 7 great matches. Whether you were into it or you weren't, I enjoyed it, and that was my match of the week. Obviously, if you're still here, you're still hanging out, please click that like button. Helps us out an awful lot. We do appreciate the uptick in viewership here recently. Sorry that we've not been as consistent as we usually are. Most of that's my bad. But we will work towards
your bad, you fucking asshole.
We will work.
It's fine.
We will work towards the solution.
Did Tom cancel? I'm sorry. Did Tom cancel or did Derek cancel? When did Derek cancel last? Not in the last 2 weeks.
I pushed it off to today. I canceled yesterday.
No one asked you, Tom.
You said you asked.
Literally just asked him.
You said
so.
It was me.
Anyways,
I was part of the problem. It's me.
We're gonna try to find some normalcy here. If not, we'll just keep throwing them together when we can. I mean, at the end of the day, bro, like, it's just nice to get to sit here and bullshit with my bros. So, but if, like I said, if you're here, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. It would really help us out. Check us out over on Twitter and Instagram at @1_fall WC. That's ONE. Also, if you're enjoying us right now, wherever you are, we appreciate you. With all that being said, thanks for hanging out. It's all love. We'll catch you next week. One Fall WrestleCast. Rest in peace, Jay Briscoe.
Yes, sir.